All right.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, you should be good there. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Great.
How you doing, Guy?
Very well. Hello, Tommy, Karen, and of course, Christian. And I guess did Steve? No Steve, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Well, I guess we have a quorum. Should we just proceed?
Sure.
Okay. Then how about what is it? A call to anybody? Call to order?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay. I won't do the opening statement. I'll do the other one. Note, until further notice, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry governing and deliberative bodies will hold meetings and/or hearings virtually Zoom webinar, which provides for public participation during the public comment period when applicable and when posted on the agenda. Alternatively, the public may watch meetings by YouTube, video live stream, or listen by telephone. And these options comply with the Open Governmental Meetings Act.
That's great. Thank you, Christian. And that's all we need to read, right?
I think we're supposed to do that opening statement that you have there.
Right. Yeah. Wait. So yeah. Okay. You want me to run through that for you? For the group? Did you just read part of that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just
so
read the communication part.
Sure. Yeah. Let me read through that. The HLC Historic Landmarks Commission was established to preserve, protect, and foster the rehabilitation of the town's historic edifices to ensure the growth of the community is commensurate with its historic significance. The commission operates under the authority granted to it by Harpers Ferry Ordinance Article 131 as set forth in West Virginia Code 8-26A-4. The qualifications of the commission members are on file with the town and are hereby made a part of the record of each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. The basis of commission administrative approval or recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals is the Harpers Ferry Historic District Standards and Guidelines. They are hereby made a part of the record of each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Okay. I think we had minutes from the last meeting that were.
Oh, well, first we got to approve this agenda first before we do that.
So any corrections to the agenda?
No.
Or any questions or edits? Okay, then motion to, what do we have to have? A motion to approve
Just
the
a
agenda?
motion.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, I think we got somebody else on the line. I think Steve might be here.
I don't see him in the
No,
attendee.
I'm sorry, I miscounted.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, I can't count.
Okay. I think we had, what was that, unanimous approval?
Yep.
Okay. Then motion to, well, I guess any edits for the minutes? Did anybody see anything that needed to be?
Well, you could do that, and you could vote on it, Guy, and then at discussion, you could do it then too. You know,
Okay.
edits. And
So what do we just motion to
agenda.
approve?
yeah,
Okay. I move to approve the minutes that Karen was kind enough to provide for us for January 17th meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Then with that, we are minutes approved. And are there any public comments? I'm not sure we have any attendees for today's meeting, right?
I did not receive any notification of public comment for today.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing that we need to do there. Then guess we can move on to discussion and action, new business. So this is the meeting where we elect the officers. Christian, I haven't done this before except for the first meeting last year. So how are we supposed to do this?
Well, it's supposed to be beginning of the year. We do election of officers. I can't even remember myself. I don't know if it's a motion or it's just a nomination.
So if you don't mind my chiming in, typically it's the nomination process. So someone nominates for the office, and anybody in the room who wants to be nominated, you, like, when that office is open, you say, okay, I nominate this person, I nominate that person. And then if there's no more nominations, then whoever is going to do roll call goes around the room, and each person picks which one of the nominees they want for that position. Does that how you recall it at town council level?
Yeah, I think so. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually we
So
have
that's
only one
typically what's
candidate,
been
but-
done. I for nominations and holding offices.
Well, I want to nominate Guy Hammer to be the chair.
So what do I need to say?
Well, do we want to do all three of them and then vote on it, or is there anybody else want to nominate for the chair position?
No, Guy's got my support.
Well, we'll vote.
So if your nominations are, if there's no more nominations, then you call your nominations closed, and then someone can make a roll call of who would vote for him. Would you like me to do that for you?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, are there any more nominations on the for chair? Okay, then Karen, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Okay, Tommy,
Yes.
Christian,
Aye.
and Guy.
Aye.
Okay, so your president is going to be Guy, or your chair. I don't know what you call that. So what's your next office that you have?
Vice chair.
Okay, any nominations on the floor for vice chair?
Good question. Isn't that always been Steve? Christian?
No, Steve cannot be, according from what I've heard in the past, he said that he can't be in any leadership role.
Okay.
He'll serve on historic landmarks, but he
Oh.
can't be in a leadership role.
Okay.
And I believe that it also includes, because we wanted him to be the chair for a long
Yeah.
time, but and I think it's the same for vice chair as well.
Got it. Well, and I think you're the treasurer. I mean, are you happy with
I'm
being
the
treasurer?
I'm not the secretary, but I'm the treasurer.
Right.
I don't think that changes. I think the treasurer, because it's with the bank.
Sure. Well, then, what if instead of having a secretary, we have a vice chair sounds like a better, for the person who's willing to write the minutes. Maybe that can be a responsibility for vice chair. I feel like this term, I don't know.
Well,
What do you think?
all the position is just in case you can't fulfill it. You can't do the meeting, and there's somebody else that'll just step in for you. That's all. I think it could be a dual role with the treasurer, and I mean not the treasurer, but the secretary, and
Yeah.
it can be the same. Yeah.
What do you think? Because I would say you've done a great job, Karen. How would you feel about being vice chair?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, and you're willing to.
Surrounding me, so I'm good.
Okay, well then I would nominate Karen for vice chair. With I would nominate Karen for vice chair.
And secretary, you want to do both?
And secretary.
Well, no, okay. I would suggest keeping them separate. I mean, you can make it a. I mean, I don't know how it's written in the ordinances, so you don't want to
Or
if it's written as two things, you don't want to
Yeah,
change
it
what
is.
that is. Yeah.
All right,
All right.
so we'll do a roll call.
So any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, so let's start with Tommy,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Christian,
Aye.
and Guy.
Aye.
Okay. So is the next thing,
I'll nominate Karen Zukizi as the secretary for the Historic Landmarks Commission.
okay, any other nominations for secretary? Okay, Tommy,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Christian,
Aye.
and Guy.
Aye. Aye.
Do you have any other offices?
Well, I serve as treasurer.
Okay, do you want to just run that too?
Yeah, somebody want to nominate me for that?
Yep,
So then we
yep.
can say we've got all
Sure.
4 positions.
Yeah, I'll nominate Christian for treasurer.
Okay, any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, Tommy,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Christian,
Aye.
Guy.
Aye.
I am bowing out of the election process.
Okay. Thank
Done.
you. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And I was going to pull up one thing I wanted to show you guys. I think maybe some of you, I know some of you have taken a look at this. Karen, I'm not sure if you've seen it. Maybe I'll share my screen here. Let me do that.
That link's not opening on the,
It's not opening for you?
no, not on the agenda online.
Are you going to the map guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Now let's open this.
Not opening.
Wow, my screen is a mess. All right, let's share this. I think this is
I've
it.
seen it a few times, so I don't have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
So I guess first, so Christian, yeah, okay, Christian, you said you've looked through it previously, right?
Yes.
And yeah, let's hide that. I'm just getting my screen set up here so I can show this to you so you can see what's going on. So clearly what I did here was just enter all of the historic properties that we have here in town into a Google map layer, divided up by decade spans, 30 to 40 year spans, to give people a better feel for the historic housing stock in town. And click and expand this just to help facilitate conversations when we're talking about things. Also, at some point, just to help people in town become more familiar with what homes are historic, from what periods and what styles they have, and also keep track of homes that are maybe having issues, structural issues that we need to address. Also tracking homes that have been maybe demolished since 2009, because that's where these descriptions are coming from. And of course, you can click into, and it'll open up the with it. Usually there's, I've tried to put in a couple pictures for each property with in the description field. This is the exact description from the Harpers Ferry Historic District that's registered from 2009 with the National Register or Historic, what is it? National Register of Historic Properties. I think that's the term, right? And the thought being there, and of course the titles are starting with the year, and then the primary material, then the style, and an abbreviation for the street name and address. And that's organized in the legend chronologically, so you can zip through and get a better feel for how the maybe the styles. You can see a transition in styles over time as the pre-war versus post-war. And the thought here is to hopefully crowdsource some updates for the information. A lot of the dates are off with the properties. And there's more information from some of the walking tours, for example, and other research sources where we can get a better description for when the property was built, the materials used, and also even some of the features of the property. And as we go along, capture those edits that we want to make. I can add them in, and at some point this year, it would be great for us to be able to submit an updated list of descriptions for the properties for the town. That's something I know the West Virginia State Historic Preservation Officer would like to see us do, because I believe we've got a few houses that that may need to be, well, they're I think no longer there, and maybe starting with one, Tommy, that you wrote me about is this property, right? This log house on Cliff Street. You want to talk a little bit about that? So this is a house that your family owns?
Yeah, so my father and my brother purchased the property. It was probably 2016, I want to say, with the intent of fixing it up, and my younger brother was going to live in the house. He then took a job in Germany and moved out of the country, so he wasn't able to do that. But I worked on that house to kind of assess, after we took it over, the status of it, and it was in terrible shape, and kind of, we essentially unbuilt the house, and I forget who it was at the time, but we brought in, we spoke with the mayor and the code officer, I believe, in the town, or brought in people as we pulled the stucco off the outside and pulled down the plaster on the inside and revealed all the issues. But I mentioned this one to you, Guy, because it's listed as a possible log cabin structure,
right?
And having been the one that essentially tore the house down a number of years ago, there was no log cabin framing to it, anything at all. It was all lath and plaster. It was yeah, there was nothing like that existed there. Maybe there was previous to this version of the home, maybe on that foundation at one point, but at least when we came into ownership of it, that house that had been there for years was no longer a part of that log cabin structure, had there ever been one.
Got it. Yeah, and just for Karen and Christian, this is the foundation is right over here in this area. If you can see where I'm pointing on the screen.
Yeah, it's right next to the old, what was the tennis court at Mather Training Center, right next to the big field there, across from the Charmadoa house.
So did you get what material was actually used for the structure? So if it wasn't log, was it just wood framing?
It was wood framing. Yep, it was wood studs, and then the interior was plastered, and the exterior was stuccoed.
Okay. Did you notice anything else? Did you guys happen to take any pictures when you were taking it down?
We did. I've got hundreds of pictures, because the intent, now with it is to rebuild it. We've had some plans, and then the pandemic, the price of lumber went through the roof, and it was going to be $30,000-$40,000 more in materials. So we're still working on some plans with that, but we did document, took a ton of measurements, took a ton of pictures. So I have all of those of, kind of what was on the inside. And then also, once we kind of cracked the shell open, to show the damage that was done and how everything was laid on the foundation and stuff. So.
Well, that's great. Because I think, how hard would it be to get some of that to submit this year?
I've got access to all of those. I've got some, I'd find it. It's on, I think I've got copies on this computer here. I can look and maybe make a zip file to share, to just show you all the documentation, all the pictures that I've got from it.
Yeah, that would be great. Because I think that's definitely, well, I don't know, Christian, you probably know even better than I, kind of what they look for from us to document when property is condemned, right? I think I was told that we should try to provide a historic structure report for every property that is condemned.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been done. I
Which
mean,
if they're good pictures, then that's great.
Yeah, I
so
can
they-
tell you in our experience, and again, I don't remember. I had just moved back into town from living out of state for a couple of years. And I don't remember the gentleman that we were working with, and I don't know if it was zoning or what group within the town he was with, but basically there wasn't ever anything written down. We were instructed to take photos of everything essentially, and it was on the front of the house, run a tape measure across and snap a picture of the width from the corner of the house to the windowsill, to the edge of the porch, basically so that if we needed to recreate the street view of that home, we had the measurements, we had, we could make a new drawing and a new, architecture around that existing, at least front of the home. And then he was brought in, essentially we started on the second floor and peeled down all the plaster, showed the termite damage and water damage that existed to all of the studs. And then from there, we kind of had to take the roof off and then got down to the first floor where it met the foundation and that was just, you could push through it with your finger. Once we took the stucco off the outside of the house, the whole house swayed. And so it was just kind of, there wasn't really an official process. It was just kind of, we would do a step. He would come in and look at the next thing that had been exposed, assess if it was, structurally feasible to fix it or if it needed to be completely replaced. And then we'd do that step and move through the next one until now we're left with just the foundation and the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, I know it's we can't save all these houses. I mean, I think like I've been reading so much about this stuff and it's really tough to save the old wooden structures. But I think it's fantastic that you guys are willing to rebuild something that's historically accurate. So,
yeah,
that's
and
great.
I can send you that information. We even had new blueprints, new drawings made for the rebuild on the house. And that, again, that was a couple of years ago. So I think there are some things we would tweak, but I can pull that all together and send that to you guys just as a reference of at least how we were kind of instructed to do it before, even if it wasn't the exact method that should be followed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'd be great. And then I think there's another property that we were talking about right over here on Washington Street. And I guess so your family owns one of these as well, right?
My family just purchased the stone house right on Washington Street where there's the new it's the one house essentially that Hilltop did not purchase. It's the stone house at, I think it's 460 Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep trying to change the location and I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to do that. But I guess this is the one that's 450. 450
so that
is
would be
here.
the one up and behind it. Mm-hmm.
Right, 450 is there. So this is the one you own.
Correct. Yeah, my parents just bought that one, and our Bob Johnson had owned that one previously and had been renovating it.
Yeah,
I mean, most of my entire life. And
right
after he passed away recently, my parents purchased the property from Nancy, and are working on finishing that. Nothing external except a little bit of stone work to just kind of shore some things up, mostly on sidewalks and walls, but I'm working on finishing the inside of the house now.
Oh, well, I hadn't heard that he had passed. So
Yeah, he passed away
it's been a while.
October, year and a half ago, October.
Yep.
Wow, okay. But his wife is still in his house on Fillmore?
Yes, yeah, Nancy is still in the house across the street from my parents on Fillmore, next to Carol Carter and Jim Jenkins.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And I guess, so do you happen to know which house this was? 470 Washington Street? So I guess do you happen to recall, do you ever recall knowing about a 470 Washington Street?
What are the other ones next to it that you have there?
This one, I believe,
Okay.
is 480, and then this one on the corner, I believe, is 490.
That's the barber shop.
Right.
Yeah, that's all right. So there is the house, and I don't know if it's a Ridge Street address, the one that was kind of multiple properties together. It was a log structure that was tied into a stick-built structure that was tied into something else. Do you know which? I believe it's as you're going up Columbia Street, just about halfway up Columbia Street there.
You mean on the right-hand side?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a property there that, looking at it from Columbia Street, you can see, I don't know what, yeah, it's not that home. It's the one
Yeah.
kind of adjacent to it.
Okay.
You can see that it probably looks like it was originally a log cabin structure that was then tied into a stick-built home that then had a third addition put on the back. So it started as a very small piece that kind of grew through a couple different periods. And that one's fenced in, I presume now owned by
That's a Hilltop house. Yeah,
So I
that's
would
a
guess
double.
that
It's
would
a
be the
double
address there.
Armory house.
Yeah. Do you know, Christian, is that one, would that be a Washington Street address, a Ridge Street address, Columbia Street? I honestly don't know. The house
They
faces
face on
Washington.
Washington, but I don't know. That's a good
I don't know if there's
question.
any access to it from Washington, which I don't know if that make it Columbia
Well, they
Street or
used to
not.
have front sidewalks. Some of them, those
Mhm.
4 houses there. They used to have sidewalks from the front on Washington.
So I would guess, Guy, if there was an address that matched that one that you're looking for, that would
Yeah.
be that structure.
All right. I was just going to try to go to the.
Oh yeah.
Here, let's take a look here.
Is that an old house?
Well, this one is here. Let's see if we move
Yeah,
up here a
it's-
little bit. So it's a little weird. So this one over here is 460, and then this one is, I believe, 480. And the historic register says that there's an address 470, which would put it in between these two.
Well, that street sign at the steps there says 470 for that.
Yeah. There you go. Good pick. Okay, so this is 470, and then yeah.
So now that structure in the background there, that's the one I'm thinking of, but is that tied into that? Is that all one unit there, or are those? I'm having a hard time remembering off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, that's the one that's the double. That's the double Armory house. There's a log cabin on the side, or log structure that's attached.
Yeah.
And that's going to
Okay.
be restored.
Okay.
Swan.
Okay. So then going back here, then what we have. So really, I've got the wrong picture on this. So it seems like this is maybe here, and the picture needs to be updated for this one. That this is that what we're in agreement about? That this one that I thought was gone is actually this main house that looks like this.
I'm trying to
That's
think.
the first one.
Well,
No.
the address on the description here is 480, and the description on this one is 470. So if this is the first house to the left of this guy, then it's got to be this one. right? And then the house that is missing is like Tommy has described, that whatever, either it's this thing that was attached to it, or Tom, are you saying there was another separate?
I'm trying to remember just if that's, because in my mind's eye as I was picturing it, that it was two separate structures, that the existing home on the right there, that's 470, and the log cabin structure to the left, but I might have just been misremembering, and those are one unit. But
Okay.
my question would be, were they always a singular unit, or might they have had two separate addresses in the numbering system, or were they separate? Because that would be a double plot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. There's
I
another
would
one.
recommend reaching out to Swan, Laurel Zamansky, and asking her their Swan Properties.
Okay.
And asking her how they have them set up, because they've been checked out by the Shippo or whatever.
Yeah.
They've been engaged in these properties.
So Laura Samansky.
Yeah, I'd reach out to her. She lives on Ridge.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll figure that out. But yeah, that's good. I think fair enough. At least we figured out, I think, in my view, that this is actually that house. So that's good. And then this is one that I'm not sure, Tommy, if you've been around long enough, or you, Karen. I know you're both fairly recent. I was hoping that Steve might have been here to know about. There's an entry here on McDowell Street that's supposed to be a carriage house. I think this is gone as well. So I can ask Linda Rago about that.
Yeah, good idea to talk to the neighbors of these houses. Yeah. Question.
And as far as other missing buildings, there are a couple downtown, but again, and maybe we had already talked about this one, Potomac Street, 109 Potomac Street, some kind of armory house, stucco wood exterior. I don't know what's going on with that property. And I think, actually, I didn't realize, I was just talking with Linda Rago the other day. I didn't realize she's the one who actually did the original historic district submission and the revision in 2009. So I'll follow up and ask her about these missing properties. But with that, I was going to look at some of the properties that we're concerned about. And Christian, you had called the attention to one behind my house. But I thought we might start with this one, Putnam, because it may be the oldest house in town, right?
That's next on the agenda too.
Right.
Let me tell you what
so-
I dug up.
Yeah, Karen, would you like to talk about this house?
Sure. I spoke to Lloyd Wheeler, and it's his grandfather that bought the land right after slaves were freed. And that house was built, he said, somewhere between 1830 and 1840, so a little bit later than we originally thought. His grandfather physically built it. The back portion of the house was built by his uncle after World War II. His uncle was in the Army, came home, and then built that onto the structure itself. So 6 children were raised actually in that home. This is something that has always been in their family, as well as the land across the street, because Mr. Wheeler lives in the small white house square one across the street. He has 2 brothers and I think 1 sister. And they kind of talked about what to do with this house. And I started the conversation to get them talking. And I said, if you guys decide what you want to do and you need to make these decisions, we can get you some help and some resources and things. But at least one of the things I'd like to do is get as many pictures of this house as possible. I'd love to sit down with the family members and interview them about memories of the house, family members around the house, as much as they can tell me about this house. Because even my neighbor Sharon remembers spending summer nights as a child on that front porch. So there's a lot of memories on Putnam and anybody that lives on Putnam. So at minimum, we want to get a pictorial history and a written history. And they said they would go from there. This might be something where the brothers and the sister might want to come in and meet with the commission and talk more about some options of things. They would like to preserve it if it's possible. The back end of it really is falling in. He's told me that he's got of course, no trespassing. He doesn't want anybody going on there because he's afraid somebody might get hurt with the structure. But he did say if I wanted to go in and take pictures, he would take me in to take pictures because there's a source in there. So we can at least get a good documentation of his home. And then go from there. So that's as far as I've gotten with them. This is going to have to be the siblings making these decisions. So that's as much information thus far as I have on that home.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to engage with the family and start getting some additional information. And I'm not surprised about the discrepancy in the build date estimates. Yeah, these estimates from 2009, they really are very wild. And I asked Linda about that, and she said, yeah, they had gotten a little of money, I think, from maybe the state to have an architect basically just drive around and try to provide visual estimates just on what they could see from the street. So yeah, I think basically we've got the dates are really all over the place, and not surprised at all to see them be off by 30 years, right?
Well, he was laughing because he's had more than one person pull up and say this is online as the most haunted house in West Virginia, and he will say you can't go in. The only thing haunting that are mice and squirrels. So it's just really interesting how these houses end up all over the place.
One of the things I was going to do is check with the tax assessor and see if also search the newspapers, because sometimes they'll provide a little. I have access to a newspaper archive for Harpers Ferry. So I'll check out this property in particular because it is listed as the likely the oldest home in Harpers Ferry. So I'll check because obviously that makes a difference, right? In terms of the level of effort to try to preserve it.
Yeah.
So okay, and I can take that on myself. And you said the family thought 1830, 1840 was more accurate, and did they happen to mention why they think that?
No, that said this has just been word of mouth history in the family. So you could have an earlier date. This is just what has been told, generation after generation. So they really don't have any documentation per se to back up any date. Okay.
Yeah, then I think for this property in particular, one of the things I'd be willing to do is like a deed trace and stop by the assessor's office and see what they can say as well. So I'll take that on myself to figure out, see what I can figure out there. But at the same time, it'd also be great, maybe, still engage with the families, see what they would prefer to do to try to restore this property. It could be really tough, right? What are your thoughts, Christian?
Well, I know they want to keep the property because the neighbor indicated they'd like to purchase it, but they will not sell it. It's actually, I mean, it looks like the roof is still decent.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably okay, but it's just like, termites, and I don't know. It's, I mean, it's not in danger right now falling down. Not like the next one with a house, the trees on the house. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
So just a question for as far as our involvement, just because I'm still pretty new here. What is as a commission, what is our end goal for a property like this? Is it safety and, visual, or are we looking to get this home or homes, in a similar state back, assist the owners or whoever to get it back to a condition where people are living in the home? How far does our involvement in something like this go?
Well, we're concerned with the exterior of the homes. Obviously we want them to stay standing.
Right.
This particular house has no one living in it. I don't think anybody's lived in it for a long time.
Right.
I mean, I'd say it's closer to a shed. That, it's quite small. And but nobody lives there, so we don't have to worry about safety on that one. But no, normally we just care about the exterior of the home, and I think we're more into education. We don't have, like, even though I'm a treasurer, we don't have really any real money to do anything like to help an owner per se. So we're here to educate them, try to help them, point them to resources.
Okay.
Grants, things like that.
Okay. Got it.
We have the ability to accept donations.
Yeah.
And I believe that, if somebody were to, bestow us with, $1 million, we would figure out a way to apply that money to restore properties like this, right? So maybe we would have an application process, and I'd love to see us get there. I think, this little project, just trying to document what we have today in town was, even I didn't really have nearly the understanding that I have now about what is our historical period of significance, what are the styles, and what are the character defining features of those styles. So there's a lot that goes into that, but just getting that all collected, and hopefully that's part of the puzzle, is getting that information out to some of the homeowners to understand what they have, what's significant, and maybe hopefully what are some of the features that they can restore to their more historical style material. That's our hope, and there's some research around that it benefits all of us if we try to make some of these changes, like maybe metal roofs or slate roofs, as opposed to asphalt shingles and other things like that. Instead of pouring a concrete pad, maybe using stone. But that's, and I think that's the challenge that's on us, is to do that in a way that's helpful and inspiring, and not authoritative.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're also here to, when we educate people, also to explain, even to just walk up to them and chat with them about their house, or especially when they're putting in for a permit for something on the exterior, to have a conversation with them, and why it is important to keep the house historic looking, using the proper materials. It really adds value to the house, to the property, and of course it's important to the town.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that on myself, and also I've been working on this. I haven't had time to present some of the research I've been trying to collect around programs. There are a lot of tax credit programs, all this kind of information. Christian and I were talking about this as well. How can we be more helpful for homeowners? It's identifying these programs that are out there that can provide benefits, financial benefits, either grants or tax credits, and other things, like just making people aware of people in the area who do this type of work, whether it's stonework, metal roofing, working with historic materials. Because, you know, I think I CC'd you guys on an email just today. There's a project that's out there and somebody wants to build a retaining wall in front of their house so that they can park up the street. Seems pretty reasonable, you know, but they want to use, effectively, they want to use like cinder blocks, concrete blocks. And, you know, it's definitely not going to look historic. And
No.
and there's a small thing that can be done to make it more historically accurate, and that's simply to cover it with stucco, right? There are a ton of homes in town. In fact, my house was originally covered with stucco. So I don't even know if we're going to be able to talk with them based on the last response I saw from Chris, but I don't know. I think I know the lady who owns this home. It's also behind my house, and maybe I can have just a chat with her off the record. But let me see if it's this one or no. This is the one, Christian, that you had asked me to put on the agenda.
Yeah, that's the one. I just sent a photo. Everybody, I forgot to do it with the tree.
Right. Yeah, there's the tree.
Well, I
Right.
sent an email to you all just a few minutes ago. It's not on your thing here. It's on an.
Okay. But yeah, so it's in pretty rough shape, and I do feel like this may be a house, especially if it's hard to know what the underlying material is. I guess it might be stone, which gives it a much stronger chance of being kind of salvaged. And I was talking with Linda Rago, and she knows. I used to know it's the Workman family. I think the lady who owns it is maybe Doris Workman, but she's 82. She lives somewhere in the county. And well, I don't know, Christian, what did you want?
Well, we have
what are your
Kevin
thoughts?
Hamilton, our ODC, our ordinance officer. He's trying to hunt her down to notify her that there's a tree on her house.
Yeah.
It's on the roof. It's crushed that car, as you can see in the photo. It's really not safe at all.
Yeah.
The first thing is safety for children could be. That's not a fenced-in property, wide open, and but that's my main concern. And we should communicate to the owner that there's a serious problem, and it's a vacant house, obviously, and and secondarily, we want to preserve the house.
Yeah. Well, so what did you want to talk about in terms of our capacity to do here?
Well, all I want to do is make sure everybody in the group, when you're going around town and when you're walking, watch for this kind of stuff. Please take photos, send it to Kevin Hamilton, or send it to each other, so we could talk about it, because that's how we're going to lose houses if we're not vigilant early on. And this house has been decaying for a long time, but this tree is making it pretty urgent.
Yeah.
I don't have a solution. I just think the first thing we got to do is get to our ordinance officer and get him to find the owners. That's the problem. We don't know all the owners. Haven't seen owners in a long time. I'm sure we have an address, but they're paying their taxes. So.
Okay. So you say he's on it. He's tracking her down.
Trying.
Okay. And then there's another one right here, kind of 2 houses down.
That one is. That one is. Well, I know the owner, and he has an architect work. Carl, the stonemason. He's been working on it. Getting the pathway up to it.
Okay.
Fixed.
Wow. All right. So they're going to restore this?
Yes.
Wow. That's great. Good.
But you see, it's really in a tough, it's a tough location. It came in front of the planning commission, this house, so we couldn't deal with it because it's a state street. Washington is a state street, so we don't have any jurisdiction on the street.
Huh.
He had a wall. He has a wall that's gone under.
Okay. Okay.
Tony, that's right across the street from the property your parents bought.
Yep. Yeah, it's the
470.
one directly in front of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and is that one? Did someone recently purchase that one?
Oh, they've had it for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have seen Carl over there a few times recently doing some stone work. I mean, obviously not through the winter, but in the fall, I saw him there doing some stuff in the front. So hopefully that one is.
Yeah, they're safe. They're not getting rid of the house. I talked to the owner, and he's definitely working on it.
Cool.
He owns the house next to it as well. The white one he did restore on clay.
Is that Joe? Is that his
Yeah,
name?
it's Joe.
Okay. All right. I know him through work. I think I want to. He's done some business at my dad's wood mill, so maybe I can ask my dad and see if he knows any information about any ongoing stuff there, as far as if he's getting materials or working on anything there. But
yeah, well, I talked to him a week ago, and he had an architect coming out. They're trying to figure out what to do next.
Okay.
Well, are there any other properties that we want to talk about?
No, I think those were the two biggies.
Okay. I think you're on. Let's see. I think this may be the property. No, it's the one over here. This is the one where they want to build a retaining wall. So. Just so
that
you know.
one.
Yeah. Which makes sense to me. I mean, it definitely makes sense to me. But and even I can't remember the lady's name who lives here, but even if I just go over and talk with her as a neighbor to figure out a way to do it in a way, I'd be happy to help her. Even just to use materials that are not concrete blocks. It's just not going to enhance the aesthetic value of the property nearly as much, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll keep working on that, and then let's see, what else do we have? Reeler family, Karen, we got that update from you. So we just talked about Clay Street.
So now we're on 5.
Yep, 5. Landing page content. Right. So this is something thinking about when we go to the historic landmarks page, right? Not a lot of information here for homeowners, right? So, suggestion would be to maybe include some more information that is helpful for the homeowners. Can we get something like this map to a place where it's provides value for people to come and see learn more about what is the Harpers Ferry Historic District and how does it differ from the park. So would it be helpful to include something like this on the landing page? What other kind of information is most helpful? Putting ourselves in the shoes of a new homeowner or even an existing homeowner coming to town. What could we do to be helpful?
Well, one of the things the town council is aware, and most of the staff in the office is aware, that our website, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry, needs to be revamped, updated. It's pretty old. I'm not sure it can do all the things we wanted to. We can come up with a list of things, but I don't think it's capable of doing it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the map would be great. I mean, pictures, right now, all it really has is just talks about us a little bit and, you know, I mean, who's on the commission and.
I think when you get that list together that you were talking about, that you and Christian were looking at resources, that would be something to put a link to there, where if people are interested in upgrading, you know, they want a metal roof, or they want to do this or do that, where can they go to find these contractors, where are the resources for this, that kind of thing would be great.
Yeah, I think Zoom is messing up my my interface a little bit here, but yeah, that would be the plan for this. How to make this actually more valuable, right? Is again to one, yeah, help educate the homeowners. What are the homes that are on your street? What styles? What materials? And then kind of looking for issues and how to make the home more historically accurate. That kind of advice. So that would be the hope there. And then of course the West Virginia SHPO, you know, they would like us. They've encouraged me to encourage us to hold workshops around historic preservation. And so that was another thing I wanted to ask, you know, the group is anybody else interested in speaking about a topic related to historic preservation?
Not me. Too busy.
Well, I don't know if I would be a good speaker on anything, but I think something, you know, maybe this, and harking back to your last question as well, I think that it would be of service to the community to have a, for lack of a better term, historical preservation for dummies. If we could come up with some, here's examples in our town of a stucco home, of a stone home, here's a, you know, a slate roof, here's a, you know, just show some very quick hits. And there may be houses people have seen where someone who might not have, we have a lot of new blood coming into the town, and a lot of people who might not have experience with old homes that might not ever really think about, oh, what's the difference stylistically, you know. But if we had a slideshow of here's some of, you know, Harper's Ferry's greatest hits as far as these common architectural or elements,
Yeah.
Some education at a base level, because even I've lived here my whole life. I've worked in construction and things like that. Reading through the, you know, some of the documentation you've sent over, it's a little daunting. You know, it's a lot of vocabulary. It's drinking from a fire hose. I think if we can get people in at a base level with a quick hit understanding of it, I think that'll take us a long way in helping people continue that forward.
Absolutely. And I've been trying to do that. I'll tell you. I'll give you a preview of something I've been working on. But this is I'll zip through this very quickly. I started working on a presentation to try to dumb things down, and I was going to show it maybe like at our next meeting. One, like, walk through kind of history of the town, and then also historic preservation, what that means, and then you know, World Heritage stuff. You know, at some point we qualify for that, and then get into the periods. What are the characteristics? There's a ton of stuff I've been collecting here offline. I think, let me see, I'm probably up to like over 100 slides.
Nice.
So yeah, I gotta, you know, break this down a little smaller. But yeah, just what you talked about, Tommy, is something I've been thinking about a lot. Is how do we get down to yeah, like what are the top 10, top 5 things that are most important for somebody coming to the town new? And there's a person just on my street who had moved in and bought a house, and is, you know, one of the things she wanted to know was what are the financing programs, grants. She's doing research on the house. She doesn't know how to she was just looking for advice also. How do I figure out, you know, who owns my house, how old it is, that kind of information. So yeah, I think it's a major challenge to try to distill this down into bite-sized pieces. But it'd be great if we can do that. the financial aspect, certainly for the type of house, what are the things to look for that indicate a problem, and then advice for how to address that problem. That would be great. And it sounds like you actually have some experience in that arena. So you've been working on historic homes. You've got that experience, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to claim at all to be an expert. And my current work isn't in that field, but I've got some experience there. And if we can, I'm not going to be an expert reference, but if we need someone to come in at a base level and say, here's some quick information about the way the workmanship was done or materials or things like that, I can definitely help with that.
Cool.
I can tell you, we had a couple years ago, we don't always have to have that experience. We can bring in people. I know that Carrie over at the barn, and they brought somebody in who knew how to do glazing. With a lot of these old houses, trust me, I hate it. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, I would love to see somebody do it. So, but she did that on her own. And they had, I couldn't make that particular one, but I heard they had a pretty decent turnout. About 7 or 8 people came.
Cool.
And are there existing at the county level or at the state level, somewhere locally, is there anything similar to education programs, workshops, things like that that people are running that we can try to partner with or invite other groups out to run these workshops?
West Virginia SHPO, they want to come out, and in partnership with the county, I was talking with the HLC. The county has an HLC for the unincorporated areas. You and Karen should know this too. So there's a handful of towns in the county that have historic landmarks commissions like us. I think Charlestown and Shepherdstown are 2, and then there's another one. I think maybe Middletown is what it's called, and then the county has one for all of the unincorporated areas, all the areas that don't have a historic landmarks commission. And the guy who is the chair of that, Martin Burke, he had reached out with asking if we'd be interested in co-sponsoring a historic preservation workshop with the West Virginia SHPO, who comes out of the state capital, Charleston. So that's what they want to do. They want to come out. They want to do a workshop. So if any of you want to contribute on a topic, then let's coordinate on that. So if you want to think it over and let me know, then do that.
Okay.
And where are we here?
6.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to keep chewing on the web page enhancements. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Guidance from West Virginia SHPO. Actually, that's what I just talked about. They want us to hold workshops. So they want to come here and do a workshop. So they want to know if we want to present on any topics. And I'm happy to, they like this map. This is one of the things they want us to be doing, is educating people on what the historic properties are, what makes them historic, and identifying the ones that are just like we've been going through and doing, identifying the ones that we're concerned about, identifying any properties that should be on the historic register. And actually that reminds me of another question. Is anybody aware of any properties that should be on the historic record that are not today?
I'm aware.
Okay. Just also something to think about, that are there any other properties that need to be added?
I have a question. I'm wondering the age of it, but there's a house at the corner of Putnam Street and Putnam Court. It's a really large white house. Is that Coastal Incorporation of Harper's Ferry. It's very large. I think it's a stone structure. I think it's called, right now they call it the Eagle's Rest. It was Ted had it, and then he just sold it at the end of the year.
It's on Putnam?
It's on the corner of Putnam and Putnam.
Putnam and
This White
Putnam?
House, right where you have your arrow right now. Yeah.
Okay, which one?
Across the street.
Here?
That one. Yeah. I
Okay.
was wondering age-wise. Yeah. If that qualified, if that's one that's one I've always questioned, and I don't see it on the.
Well, it might be a newer house.
Yeah,
Looks new to me.
yeah.
He's just a bit taking immaculate care of it, so I was curious. If you look at the front of it looks a little more. If you go around the front side. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just, no, yeah, if you keep going around the front, at the roof, I shake my head at the roof.
Mm.
The county assessor lists that as built in 2004.
Yeah, so
Really?
If I'm on the right
yeah,
property.
that's a very new house. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, all right, they just kind of maybe captioned the look a little bit. Okay, all right, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, even properties that look really old are actually fairly new.
Yeah.
The one by the ATC, oh my gosh, Brian and Kathy own the house. It's a B&B.
The one right next door to my house, next to the church.
Now across the street, catty corner from the ATC headquarters
Oh yeah.
on Washington. It's right on the corner of
Yeah. They do the bike rentals there.
yeah. That's a new house.
Okay.
That house is probably now the foundation of the house is old, but the house burnt down. So that's
Oh, when did it burn down?
I don't know. Right. I don't know. It's probably like 20 years old, 15 years old.
Wow.
93 is on the assessor's website.
There you go.
Oh,
So that house was built with a lot of input from from historic landmarks in the day when it was very strict, and they had to build something that looked very authentic, and it is. If you look at it, it's hard to tell it's a new house, a newer house.
yeah.
I never knew that. I've lived here my whole life and never knew that.
Yeah, I knew the guy that owned it before Kathy and Brian owned it.
Yeah. He was the
And the guy-
engineer. What was his name? Al? Not Al.
Al,
Was it
Was
Al?
it Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he was IBM engineer. He was really cool.
they're a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Great-
I used to
great
see
resident.
he walked every morning. It was very cool. Okay, well, I think that was good. Old business. We submitted our report in January as expected. That's done.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the boundary sign? Christian, do you want to talk about your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, we've been talking a lot about this boundary sign. I think just so everybody knows that it came from Steve, started it on Boundary Street. It was to do a marker on the dirt road. And it's probably always going to stay a dirt road. And that was the boundary between our two towns. And he felt we should have some sort of a marker because there's nothing there. It explains the history of that road or dirt road. And so the original plan was to kind of copy the markers, the property markers of Washington, D.C. I guess that George Washington was involved with. And it was going to be like a stone marker. And we finally realized that it would look cool, but nobody would see it. So then we got with David, who used to work for the Park Service. He has a company that makes signs. He used to do the signs for the Park Service, and now he's retired and he has his side company. It's his company. And we were talking about doing an interpretive display sign, like pretty much the same ones as the Park Service. He did the one up on Fillmore and Store Place Way. That's where the Oddfellow Lodge is. And you can see that one of, and he did the markers over at the middle school in Bolivar. There's a couple of them there.
So wait, is the one in front of the Oddfellows Lodge, is that owned by the town or the park?
I think it's owned by the Oddfellows. I don't.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I don't think that's park. I don't know. That's good. It's not the town. The town has not done one of these that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're probably right. So that must be a Oddfellows sign. That's cool.
So,
that's great that they did
Tommy,
that.
what we're trying to do, what we thought is, and David came up with this idea of putting a marker over in the park. Then you could do the sign and stand behind the sign and look towards, as you're reading the sign or the display, then you could see the street itself. And the Weaver House would be also in the view. And so that's kind of where we've left it. The big thing that he brings to bear is not just the making of the sign, but is to do the work in the creativity of designing this thing. You know, to make it compelling, to make it interesting. And that's kind of why we.
Well, did you also say, Christian, that there is money in the budget for this year to pursue this?
Well, we've had it already last year, some. That's up to our call. Tomorrow is the day. Now, we could put in all the commissions and committees and staffs and outside vendors by tomorrow are putting in their requests. So yes, we could put in a request for funds. Now,
Okay.
last week we were going to do something about a grant. Now, there's no way, you know, we could do both. But the last meeting, we passed a motion to look at a grant.
Yeah. And that's where the Weaver property, right, will be helpful. There's more money for, you know, African American history than anything else in related to historic preservation. So that's, you know, certainly something that would make sense to apply for. So, you know, combining these projects would be great.
I don't have the numbers, but didn't you have the numbers from David? Remember, you were trying to get a bid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think I'll have to look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head, but, you know, maybe it sounds like what you're describing is in that range. So you're saying we need to.
well, we need to noodle. I have a number in my head that we could at least put in for. It doesn't mean we didn't even use the money that we had from this year's budget set aside. The only thing we did this year was to complete restoring of the fireplace.
Yeah.
In the park.
Yeah.
And that's done.
Yeah.
And so that was completed for about $3,300.
Yeah, which was a great deal, I tell you.
Yeah, it was hard to find anybody, but we got it. David Whittingham, yeah, and he's going to try to do some more work for us around it because, well, that's on another topic, but
Sure.
We'll get to that. So probably, if I remember correctly, I think to do a sign was around $5,000. And still we have to install it. So, you know, it probably, and if we do it, we have to get approved by the town, obviously, and the money and all, but we get it in the budget. It's then kind of earmarked for us, and it makes
Right.
it a lot easier when it comes in front of town council. Town council approves all spending.
Sure.
So, And so we could put in, or I could put in the numbers because I do the budget for, I'm working with Deb, who's on the with us here. We're going to be working on it tomorrow. But maybe
But the sign,
$7,500 or something like that.
right. That's what I was thinking, because the sign estimate doesn't include if there's going to be a brick patio, right, for people to
Correct.
stand
And
on, right?
landscaping. Right.
Right, and installation.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know, whatever. It'd be great to get what you can get.
So
Well-
do you mind if I chime in really quick here?
Yes.
Debbie, this is Debbie. If you have estimates about what you want to do, Guy, you should have received an email from Verlissa about submissions for tomorrow. If you can just fill that out with estimates and
Sure.
shoot that over to me tonight or first thing in the morning, then it can at least be on the agenda, and you're welcome to attend the meeting
Yeah.
to discuss. But of course, Christian will be there as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then I'll take that as my to-do.
Okay.
Okay. What do you think? What else do we have? Last thing, Danvers Archive, still there. So we lost, what happened? We lost our, what's the plan there, Christian? Did we talk about this?
We talked about it briefly. You mentioned that you might go over to town hall and just look at to
Yeah.
see what we got.
Yeah. So I think I'll do that. That'll be my plan.
And then look at it, and then that's another one where if we need a few dollars, this is when you could put it in. If it needs $1,000, or we tried to get somebody to do it for nothing, but so far we have not found anybody.
Did you scanning? Yeah.
So we need to get an archivist or a librarian to kind of get engaged in this.
Yeah. Okay, well, then I'll do that. I don't know. Is anybody in town hall tomorrow? Maybe I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, they're well, we'll be busy in the afternoon from 4 o'clock on.
Okay. Debbie, any
They'll be
idea?
in town hall, but our committee will be meeting, budget and finance meeting.
But
Yeah,
could
the
I just?
morning would be better.
Yeah,
Okay.
morning.
Yeah. So what's the earliest I could show up tomorrow morning at town hall?
8:30?
Say, yeah, 8:30 or 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And that's what I'll plan to do.
And talk to Patty.
Patty's out. Patty's out, but Verlissa and I can get you access to
Okay.
what's in there. But Patty is out. She would know the most about where everything is, but we can get you started.
Okay. Okay. Well, sounds like a plan. I don't have anything else. So does anybody have anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, then with that, I propose a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Aye. Okay. With that, we are concluded. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good
All right.
night.
All right. Bye-bye.